And moving on to our last panel discussion for day one, themed Ways to Optimize Your IT Team for Reliability, Performance, Cost, and Compliance. I'd like to introduce the subject matter experts, our eminent moderator, Mr. Amjid Ali, Senior Information Technology Manager, Yusr International, followed by our renowned panelist, Mr. Marc van der Heijden, CTO, MA, Alshaya Co, Mr. Deepak Vaidya, Enterprise Architecture Consultant, Telecommunications Regulatory Authority, TRA, Mr. Mashari AlMussaed, Director of Information and Communication Technology, Saudi Arabia Olympic, and Professor Diego Galar, Professor of Condition Marketing, Luleå University of Technology, Sweden. Over to you, Mr. Ali, to moderate the panel.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And today we are with the last panel discussion. And I'm the moderator for discussion. And first of all, let me open this for you all, that hybrid cloud or hybrid cloud and data center summit. This is what we are talking about. And it's amazing to see how quickly the industry has multiplied the solution space. Often happens when technology grows faster, that our language terms get used to misuse different ways, and that lead to confusion. And that is where we are going to have a discussion today. It will help us to understand and clarify all the concepts related to the team, especially for the IT team, to take care of the reliability, performance, cost, and compliance. So we can see that an umbrella of data center is being used for hybrid cloud or even the cloud services. But definitely in today's discussion, we will be clarifying that. So it is very important to discuss hybrid cloud or multi-cloud strategy for any organization today. The reason is because the fourth industrial revolution or related technologies are only dependent upon the cloud, mostly dependent upon the cloud, because the data or big data is the fuel for the fourth industrial revolution and related technologies. And of course, we have to make sure that our IT experts are capable enough to lead to that particular technology frame and to lead to the data center or cloud strategy, in fact, further. So we will move to our panel discussion by asking questions or related topics to our panel members. So first of all, my first question would be from Mr. Marc van der. And as you know that the cloud cost is always unpredictable. We must have seen all the big giants or cloud providers which are having right now. It is because of the scaling, whether we go horizontal scaling or vertical scaling, we see that the cost is always unpredictable. So I have a question for you, that why it is so hard to understand the cloud cost, or can an IT team help to forecast the resource utilization or to forecast the cloud cost? So over to you, Mr. Marc.
Yeah, so thank you. I will answer the question, well, two questions really, purely from an Alshaya perspective. The reasons why for us it's hard to predict is because in roughly 5 years' time, we've moved from a largely or almost entirely bespoke on-prem landscape to basically any cloud that there is, we are in, right? So we're in Azure, we're in Google, we're in AWS. That is not by design, that has happened. We try to rein that back in a little bit. On top of that, we're in clouds of vendors like Oracle, IBM. So we have a multitude of clouds, and all these vendors have slightly different cost models or charging models behind them. And for us, a team that is learning this on the go, we're learning fast and we're learning well, but that's all a little bit much to get our arms around in the past few years. We're now getting gradually on top of it, but it has been a bit of a challenge. Plus, we're still working with the business, specifically the marketing teams, to instill a mindset that these clouds are not magic boxes that come at no cost. We do need to use and tap into these resources in a somewhat mindful way. So that is the answer to the first part of the question. The second question is much more straightforward for me. Your question is, can an IT department help forecast? I think we have to, right? So we have to get our arms around it. That's the way we look at it. We have to also operate the cloud in a cost-efficient way, delivering value to the business in the best possible price. So we have to learn these costing models. We have to get more efficient. We have to recommend for this use case, this cloud is better, for that use case, cloud is better. We have to understand the charging models from the vendors and constantly negotiate with them. So the answer to that question is we have to do that. It's not optional. And that's the road we're on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marc. It's really detailed information that we have got from you, that all the infrastructure cost at cloud depends upon what services you are going to have from there. And of course, we have to predict the cost. We have to make sure that we calculate that cost. It's a really great information from you. And of course, when it comes to the IT infrastructure, we need to make sure that the infrastructure on-prem and infrastructure on cloud, these are totally different. The way we manage them is totally different. On-prem, actually, we have many things to do. But on cloud, there are different set of requirements that one has to take care of. So my next question from Mr. Mashari, Mr. Mashari AlMussaed, the question from you will be that, what do you think will be the performance matrices for the IT infrastructure team? As I mentioned, then when it moved to the cloud infrastructure, when it comes to cloud infrastructure, for the on-prem infrastructure, it is straightforward. But when it comes to cloud infrastructure, what do you think that performance matrices for IT team has to be there?
Amjid, Mashari, I think, is facing some technical challenges. We are trying to bring him back. So could you please ask our next eminent panelist next question? Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, of course, we will be talking about the performance matrices. It is very important to manage the team. And when we are leading a team, we need to have the performance matrices till the time Mr. Mashari comes back. So we'll ask him what type of performance matrices we can have, but we will move to Dr. Diego. And we will be talking about, of course, monitoring techniques, which are required for the in the data center, which is common in the data centers, in fact. So I have a question from you, Dr. Diego, that are digital twins and advanced conditional monitoring techniques common in data centers to increase reliability and avoid the unexpected shutdowns? So over to you, Mr. Doctor.
Yeah, actually, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's a very good question because now we are migrating from traditional data centers. It's actually here in Luleå University in Sweden. I'm a few hundred meters from the servers, the data center of Facebook that is located here in Norrbotten, north part of Sweden. As you can imagine, the data center of Facebook is located here because our temperature weather is really, really cold, and they don't really need artificial cooling. Just opening the windows, you have -20, -30 degrees Celsius. But of course, what is the situation now? The traditional data centers, we have a bunch of people replacing servers, replacing assets because these artifacts are failing. But now we are migrating from that to a distributed architecture where this cloud and different structure of data centers is distributing the architecture of the asset. This makes our vulnerability higher because we have not been able to clone the mixed hardware and software infrastructure. And this is very interesting because let me tell you that, for example, companies like Huawei, they are doing a huge effort to do the digital twins of data centers, twinning the cloud and also the physical assets in such a way that when you do the digital twin of the cloud services plus the digital assets, the physical computers and servers that you have there, you have some kind of crystal ball to predict which components are going to fail and then schedule the replacements according to this. And then you increase the reliability and the availability of the data center quite much. Then I would say that we need to make a huge effort to move from the traditional data centers to hybrid ones, but making the digital twin as a tool to have the forecasting of the components, hardware or software that are going to fail.
Thank you so much for explaining digital twins, and it is really interesting that how you can avoid the unexpected shutdowns. So we'll move to now telecommunication sector. In fact, we have with us Mr. Deepak Vaidya, who is working in TRA. Of course, when it comes to cloud infrastructure and cloud technologies, TRA plays a vital role here. And we cannot deny the fact that without the involvement of Telecommunication Regulatory Authority, we can really enable the cloud. So I want to ask from you, I have a question from you, that how TRA is currently engaging its technical team to address the security and compliance of cloud providers within the country and outside the country. So how do you think it could be taken care of?
Okay, thank you very much, first of all, and for having me on this interesting discussion. See, there are in Bahrain, there are certain aspects to this particular security issue on the cloud platform. If you ask within the TRA what we are doing to be on a to have a safer operations on the cloud is, first of all, the cloud operations are directed, and it's a strategical initiative within the government circles of Bahrain, and much of it is directed by there is another authority called as e-government authority, or that's the one which gives the directions for the security and cloud operations. Overall, at the TRA level, what we are doing is, you might have heard, there is a latest edition for the ISO 27000. So 27000 earlier was with the on-premise. It was targeted for the on-premise data centers. And now there is an addition to the ISO 27000. I think it is 27017, which has cloud security protocols and cloud security SOPs, which was included into this one. So we at TRA, we are 27000 certified IT team or IT department, where recently we have gone into the internal IT audit, where we had to upgrade all our procedures and documentations which are in line with the 27017, that is cloud security materials. So this is one of the aspect what I was supposed to tell you. I supposed to tell you on the internal aspects of the TRA. And external aspects, of course, we have certain directorates which do major lookouts on or the standard operations on the communications, basically in the communications networking. That is the data that is we have a directorate called as a cyber security directorate, which is into looking into because of certain aspects I cannot go technically much detail into that one. So we do look into the communication security aspects that is coming inside or going outside of the country or something like that. So this is how, at the communication level, this is how the security aspects of the cloud has been looked into.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for clarifying these points here. And of course, as I mentioned, that TRA plays a vital role when it comes to cross-border data migration or cross-border data communication. And thank you so much for explaining that. I believe Mr. Mashari has already joined us, and welcome to the panel discussion today. Mr. Mashari is the Director of Information and Communication Technology in Saudi Arabian Olympic. And definitely when it comes to such kind of organizations, there are the teams who have to make sure that the information systems or information technology or IT infrastructure works perfectly. So I have a question from you, Mr. Mashari. Do you think that we have enough IT resources available in our data centers, or To have a short question, I must say that what are the performance matrices for IT infrastructure teams, especially when it comes to cloud infrastructure? I believe in your organization, you must have thought of having cloud, or you're already moved to cloud. So what do you think that performance matrices should be there for an IT infrastructure team when it comes to the cloud infrastructure? Over to you, Mr. Mashari.
Yeah, thank you for the convenient that happened now. In the beginning, we will never have enough people in any field, in IT mostly. For the cloud, we are now having a hybrid cloud in our organization, because we are in a strange situation, or I call it special chemistry. We are sport and we are a governmental, the same two. And you need to be a public and you need to be private at the same time. I need to have a privacy information and I need to share the information. For that, we're saying like I'm juggling two balls at the same time. I need to be secure, all the information to be secure, but it's easy to be accessed. We need to access the information from around the kingdom. And you know that the vision 20 to 30 now, we are having a lot of activity here in Saudi Arabia. We have a lot of athlete, around maybe more than 1 million athlete here trying to look to the information, different type of sport, different type of activities happening here in Saudi Arabia. For that, as I told you, you cannot focus like the old classic data center to hire people to be taking care of all of this information. This will be insane because you have a huge team to manage it. The smart way, or the IT way, we say, we need to have fusion, hybrid between the old classic physical machine and the cloud. Try to get the public cloud or the private cloud that's inside Saudi Arabia. We are now trying to build a new cloud for all the athletic. We try to rent the cloud here in Saudi Arabia, because the government now facility cannot allow any public or anything that governmental level to be shared outside Saudi Arabia at all. It will be easy for us because, Amazon, AWS, Google, Microsoft are already, they are extended us a million years front, and they have their best practice outside the globe, like in West Europe, in the US, and everywhere. For that, we try our best to, as I told you, to be private and public at the same time. What we done, we are following the hybrid technology. We try some of the information that can be public. We give it a cloud base, but again, we need to secure it. We need to monitor it because it's at the end, it's all about data. We need to make data easy to access and safe at the same time. For the stuff, I'm trying my best to update them and update myself always day by day. Latest technology, consult a lot of good people. We try to implement the best technology, useful and easy to manage and even simple. For example, the some technology need to have like at least 10 or 5 people. I try to bring the easiest, latest smart technology that need only one guy to read the information and read the notification. I know I talk a lot, sorry. Sorry for that. I was misplaced at the event finished. Then I go to my car. And some angel from your department told me to call back again. I'm happy to be with you. I'm 24 years. I'm the ex-president or what they call it, developer for Tawakkalna, and you saw the great jump and integrated with all governmental. This is, I believe, IT must be smart. Think smart, use smart. I'm sorry for a lot of talk. Any question, I'm ready.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. It was really a great information from you that how you are developing your multi-cloud or hybrid cloud strategy. And definitely it is the way forward. And of course, without wasting much time, I will move to the next question, which is, of course, as we have seen from all the panelists that we have already been talking and always been talking about the security concerns. And even the people or the organizations or government, public sector, private sector, talk about any sector, they are reluctant to move to the cloud because of the security concerns, of course. But security is being addressed by all the cloud vendors as of now, and cloud technologies are, I must say, secure enough to move to. But let us ask from Mr. Marc Van that what is his opinion on the security, as security is more important when it comes to cloud. Do you think that organizations understand the cloud compliance right now? Over to you, Mr. Marc.
I cannot speak for all organizations. I can speak for Alshaya. First of all, I politely have to disagree with the statement that cloud security is more important than on-prem security. I think they're clearly both equally important. So, and as you said, Amjid, most of the cloud providers are pretty decent in what they are offering there. And if I see where we were as Alshaya on-prem 5 years ago, we had some work to do also on the security and compliance side. We have done that work in the past years. We're in a much better place now. We're in a very good place, I think we overall are, in this difficult world of security and compliance. The cloud vendors are responding also to, when you specifically look at compliance, the compliance topic you raised. Also here in the region, the different vendors start to respond to that. There's of course increasing demands to have data in the country, etc. I think in our organization we have a pretty decent handle on it. We have a team that helps us, which is outside of IT, and that works with us to ensure that we store data in ways that is in compliance with what certain countries are asking for. So I would think overall we're in a decent place, but I cannot speak for all the other organizations. Plus that we're operating in a number of markets outside of the Middle East. We're also in some other markets in Central Asia where the situation is sometimes a bit more volatile, also on the compliance side. And it is also for us sometimes a bit of a catch-up game to make sure that we stay compliant to the regulations, which are sometimes changing very rapidly. And what we have noticed is that when regulations change rapidly, for the large cloud providers, it's sometimes a little bit hard to adopt in a fast and agile way. So also the large cloud providers are large organizations and are not always able to respond quickly. But overall, they seem to work together with us to address the challenges properly.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marc. Really, it was a great information from you to understand that how the security aspects are taken care by the organization, your organization, and then how you drive that strategy further. And of course, there is no doubt that cloud vendors are really, they have put many efforts to secure their infrastructure. And of course, when it comes to the cloud security, the security is the major concern for them, in fact, because this is where the adoption comes. And I'll move to Dr. Diego now. And I have a question from you. Of course, now we are talking about the data centers and cloud. But in the data centers, there are a number of assets similar that can be considered as a fleet. So are we using state-of-art techniques to make these assets more robust and resilient? So over to you, Dr. Diego.
Thank you. Actually, it's this is the answer is no, and this is very, very sad, because when we design a data center, either hybrid or classical data center, we have physical assets and we have the cloud services. And we have two stages when we design that: the RAM side and the PHM side. The RAM side is when we design the robustness of the center, when we have a shutdown in terms of some kind of problem or whatever, and then we want to detect the failure and we want to predict the failure. In data centers, this is very common, and we have a bunch of people replacing components, replacing this, replacing that. But the problem is that many times we don't pay attention to the resilience of our data centers. If there's a problem, are we sure that our people is prepared for disaster management in order to put up and running our data center again? And this is the problem, because we have actually a mismatch between the design phase and the operating phase of the data center. We have designed our data center for certain reliability and availability, but when a problem comes, we don't know the real reliability of our data centers in terms of software reliability or physical reliability, and the resilience of the data center to put it up and running again is well unknown. Then I think it's in the data centers, we have been playing with a lot of redundancies, a lot of equipment just in case, just in case, just in case, but we should be smarter and play with the real reliability analysis to see what is needed, because then we could be much more efficient.
Thank you so much. This really proves that an IT team plays a vital role here to understand that what technology works, what technology doesn't work, and really the resilience really matters here. And of course, we have very short time now. I will move to the telecom sector again, and I will just be asking a question from Mr. Deepak, that local telecom companies in various companies started offering cloud services. Earlier, I remember that in the place where I'm living right now, we had the cloud services provided by the telecom companies themselves, but they couldn't succeed. So do you agree to this first of all? And then there will be a question, is this because of the lack of expertise that telecom sectors are having? Because they offer only telecom services. So cloud was a totally different service that they thought that they could provide. So over to you to clarify this point, Mr. Deepak.
Thank you, Amjid. This question is more about a service portfolio. Like when we have a giants like a Google Cloud or a Azure Cloud or a AWS Cloud, and they have a wide range of services to offer, and they can scale. They can scale down, they can scale up at the same time. If a telecom company, rather than a technical, this becomes more of a business related or a business model issue. If a telecom company with a core competency in telecommunication services wants to enter into a cloud services, it may get succeeded, but to a limited extent, but not to it cannot become a full-fledged cloud service provider itself, because the core competencies are different, business model is different. And hence, if it has to success, it has to become a separate entity other than the telecom, a telecom entity. So as a result of that, a telecom company may offer a cloud related service to its customers based on a very hand picking or a finger counting services. Okay, even in that one, I'm little bit skeptical, because if I have to, as a customer, if I have to go for a cloud services of my telecom service provider, what are the options and what are the needs that do I have? That is number one. And if at all I have any needs, for example, if I'm operating my my gadgets, maybe it's an iPhone or it's maybe an Android device or something like that. They as soon as I purchase and as soon as I start operating on those particular devices, I'm directly connected to their cloud by default. And on top of that one, on a very nominal price, I can go and update all the services that are available either on the iOS cloud or on the Google cloud. So now in this situation, what are the other values that the telecom companies as a cloud service provider can add to its customers become a little bit a challenging part for the telecom operators or the telecom companies. So hence, I think it is possible for them as a telecom entity, but it's very limited. But what I think is, if at all the telecom companies with their expertise, see, other question you had was the expertise. Expertise can be acquired. If a technical expertise are required, they can be acquired at any desired point in time or something like that. They can be brought in and into the operation. But as a cloud service provider for the telecom companies, what is their business model is going to be? That's the main question over here.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. It was really a fruitful thought that a cloud service provider or a telecom service provider, these are two different technologies or technology sets that they have to take care of. And of course, cloud vendors, the telecom service providers always thought that if we provide such services, so latency will be less. So the service that they can get from the cloud, if we provide that service, it will be much faster. And of course, reliability is the concern of the end user. That is why maybe it did not succeed in that way. So we will be concluding this today's panel discussion with the last question to Mr. Mashari. Mr. Mashari, if you are still available, so I'll be putting a question to you. Otherwise, we will close this panel discussion today.
I'm available, my good friend.
Yeah. Of course, we talked about the IT departments, that how IT department is maintaining the current infrastructure, the infrastructure on premises or data center on premises. So do you think that the current IT department or the way IT department is working today will become obsolete, or it obsolete now? Is it obsolete now, or do you think that it is because of the cloud data centers, it is going to be obsolete in near future? Over to you, Mr. Mashari.
As you said, yes, I believe that. Why? Because technology are merging, all the technology and all the tools that all technology, what they call all data center fashion tools, are merging together. Like example, we saw let's see, as a leader of server and technology, Microsoft. That it was having two certificate type, the physical certificate for Windows 2019 whole thing, and regular one, and the new one is the Azure one. They remove it. They remove it and they add the physical one. After they have the cloud now, you'll find all the latest technology. And like example, when you need what they call the service for the domain and to create and authenticator to authenticate the user, or to give them permission to use the Active Directory service or email. Old historical was to have physical machine, like machine for mail, machine for share folder, machine to give permission, machine to secure. Now all integrated with one machine, virtual machine that will do all the multiple work. It will have failover example, and it will do double and faster and performance better than the old one. For that, I think, and I know, and in fact, from 25 years ago, that a lot of IT job are becoming merged now. Like example, we was having something called network engineer and system administrator for the system. Now they merge it together. It's a system and network administrator. One job doing two role. Now the same job must be an analyst. The analyst and the help desk must be in one job. I don't want to talk a lot, but at the end, all IT old way must be upgraded. I think that every director of IT, he needs to enhance his team. He needs to align them, and he needs to give them ahead what happened in future. He needs to focus the career path for his team to know what future is coming. Cloud is coming, private or public, it's coming by force. Physical machine, it will be old historical thing, like the floppy disk, the flash. Now we are using cloud. Here in Saudi Arabia, we're pushing to have everything cloud, removing the physically. A lot of government entity already not using a regular server, they're using all managed service, and a lot of big vendor. I'm not saying, I don't want to name a lot of vendor. We have a lot of huge vendor. The big vendor like AWS and even Google, they built a data center here to do clouding. I think they are focusing in the cloud facility. Big company like ERP system solutions, SAP and Oracle are having their own cloud, HCM and SAP hybrid here in the Saudi Arabia to remove all the physical thing. I think we have one thing left. I would like to let all the vendors that have all this technology and secure it to have more learning and light all the old data center or all the IT director and the CISO and to show them that your data will be safe, you'll have low cost, we will take care of everything. They need to send brochure, they need to do a lot of seminar because there are a lot of, or they call it old school management, old school CIO. They think that when it's cloud, it have zero security. No, I don't believe that, because if I have a public or a physical server here in my home or in the IT department, I will have like 2 or 3 security. I'll have like 10 gentlemen taking care of it. But if I have it in cloud, I'll have a whole team, more than 100 team, 24/7. They will do shifted. They will find any anomaly. They will follow up even the smallest traffic or smallest data leak. This is the best and advantage of cloudization.
Sure.
Sorry, I talk a lot.
Sure,
I
Mr.
cannot
Mashari,
say
thank you so
everything.
much.
in this topic.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
You-
clarifying these concerns of the IT team, that how IT team can definitely play its role. And I believe that, let me conclude today's discussion. Of course, we have completed the discussion today. And there were a few questions, but because of the shortage of time and because we all have to go, of course, our homes, and we have to spend the time with families. But I will conclude today's discussion. Of course, a major concern was the performance of the IT team, and the IT team, that whether it will be obsolete or not, which was my last question. Of course, the skill set has changed. For many years, IT has been automating the businesses. But now the time has come where IT has to automate its services itself. When cloud started coming into, we saw the virtualization, how virtualization brought a revolution to on-premise data center. And when it comes to cloud, of course, without having to buy the hardware and investing in hardware, we can have the cloud services up and running within fraction of seconds. So this is where the cloud services are available right now. But as we talk about the skill set, we talk about the IT team, definitely we have to equip our IT team with these new service providers. For example, AWS, they are having the cloud architect program, cloud infrastructure program, cloud developer programs. Similarly, with all other cloud vendors, they are providing such certifications and trainings. And good thing in today's days of technology is the community support. If I talk about community support, many blogs, many YouTube videos, many other learning management systems are available where anyone can learn any platform without any boundaries. He can reach any university, any college, any institute, any expert, and transfer that knowledge to other people. So mentoring is very much possible these days. So I will end this discussion today. Thank you so much to the Cloud KSA Cloud and Hybrid Cloud Summit today. Thank you to organizers for arranging this fruitful panel discussion today. And over to you, Mr. Rohit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali, for wonderfully moderating the panel. And thank you, dear panelists, for sharing your valuable thoughts. We truly appreciate your presence today and the time that you spent. Thank you once again. What a wonderful and far-packed day one has turned out to be. I'm sure all of us have learned a lot from what we heard today with regards to the insights, the trends, the solutions, the predictions for what lies ahead and the future. For tomorrow's session, we once again have an excellent lineup of some of the brightest minds from the industry, KSA, and the GCC speakers. We also have representation from His Excellency Mohammed Hassan, Executive Director, National Data and Statistics Sector, Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Authority, UAE. We are all going to be looking forward to tomorrow's session, so kindly don't miss the last of the KSA Cloud and Data Center Summit. Tomorrow between 2 to 5 PM KSA time. The event link remains the same with no changes as today. So no changes to the event link. It remains the same just as today. And before we close, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, our gold partner, Manage Engine, and our strategic partner, Nozomi Networks. Last but not least, I want to thank each and every one of you individually for joining us today, without which your continued support, this event would have never happened, and we wouldn't have got so many insights and wonderful, insightful events like these in the past and in the future as well. So once again, I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. See you tomorrow and stay safe. Thank you.